hear me?
Congratulations.
My name is Errol Zimmerman, and I'm on the board, and we have several people on our board of the Álamos History Association right now. We're still working on glitches so that we can have our president officially welcome to the first meeting. She's in Norway. She'll be here next week. Before then, I have a special guest. It's not on the program, but our cronista is Juan Carlos Olgi Valderrama, and he is, as cronista, he's in charge of chronicling the history and of the community. And he's done so much for our organization and the city, and he has an invitation, and Rafa Arenas will be interpreting on that. Okay, so Juan Carlos.
Serrano de Ciudad de México. So it's visitor from Mexico City, Noel Serrano, who works on the preservation and restoration of sacred art. Okay. Y la reunión es, bueno, él va a revisar las piezas de arte sacro que hay en Álamos, en la aduana, en las nuevas, y en Mupusari, para restaurarlas y posteriormente hacer un museo de arte sacro. So he's coming to assess the pieces that are in the shore here in Álamos, in Aduana, in las nuevas, and Mupusari. So, and then the objective of this is to make a museum of sacred art in Álamos today. So it's Saturday, 10 a.m. Saturday, 11 a.m. in the shore. They have a special room, in like a reading room in the shore. So,
Yeah, in the main church.
So he's going to talk about more about the project. He's going to show us some of the pieces that need to be embraced.
Y les traigo este regalo, que es un libro.
Juan Carlos, thank you so much.
Welcome to the first Thursday meeting of the 2022-23 season of the Álamos History Association. Today, members of the association will talk about what has been happening in our activities over the last year, and we will be introduced to former Mayor Ruth Acuna's history project. Okay, Errol, give it a go.
Okay. Have a web page, AlamosHistoryAssociation.org, but on our on the web page we have the mission statement. We say it's accumulation, accumulation, preservation, and presentation of aspects of the history of Álamos, Sonora, and in many cases in Mexico. And so by accumulation, we have a research library in Kathy's Corner, and we have more than 300 books. We have copies of newspapers, we have digital files, we have videos all related to the history of this community and of Mexico. Anyway, we have the accumulation of materials, preservation. We want to keep preservations of all type of the history, and then we want to present it in meetings such as this. We have weekly meetings during the season. Now I'm getting to what Ella was talking about. We do have kind of another wing that we have been working on recently, and that is public displays related to the history of Álamos. And Juan Carlos, that just spoke to us, was really the instigator of the project of our photo committee, and Humberto is a part of the photo committee, to recopy the pictures of former presidentes, former mayors of Álamos going back to the 1850s. We have a new gallery in City Hall, so people walking into that room will be, the history of Álamos will be right there. So it's a public presentation. The guidebook is a beautiful presentation. Our first guidebook was done in 2018. It's bilingual. It's sold here in town. It's sold, people can order it from outside of our community. And this year, we have a second edition with 2 new additional parts. We have about mining, which we didn't cover in the first one, and we have about the notable people of Álamos. And of course, you all know of Maria Felix and the beautiful actress who was born within the municipio and was baptized in the church right there, I think in 1914. But anyway, we have many more, Alfonso Ortiz Tirado and many more wonderful people that were there. And this is a part of the new book. And Ellen, Pam is going to talk about that, and Ellen perhaps a little later. Also looking at other visual aspects that we can put the history. And we've got several things going. We've got some educational projects that we want to do. And we're so happy. Trini will talk later about his students at ITESCA, at the university here, and what they're doing. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Pam, who can now talk about the book and what is new about the book, etc. Okay, Pam?
Okay. The Guide to Historic Álamos. Guía para visitar el Álamos Histórico. In November of 2018, the Álamos History Association held a book launch at the museum for the first edition of its new guide. We had printed 500 copies, most of which were sold at Álamos, some of which were sent to people who wrote and said that they wanted a copy. When we began to run out of copies of the book in 2021-22, the association committee, which is responsible for the guide, decided that we needed a new edition. We would not simply do a reprinting of our original book. There were several reasons for this. We wanted to add a section on silver mining in the area. This lack in the first edition was sorely felt by some of us. The town and the fortunes that paid for its lovely old villas grew up around the discovery of rich veins of silver ore. Another reason for the new edition was a desire to draw attention in a new section to notable people from the town. The wealth and environment of Álamos contributed to the emergence of men and women who were important, not only locally and in the state of Sonora, but sometimes also nationally. Also, some changes had taken place in Álamos, such the first edition was out of date. Corrections needed to be made. I wrote the section on mining, and Errol Zimmerman did his usual good job. The mining text itself illustrates, among other things, how uncertain, how risky silver mining was as an enterprise. In the section, we become acquainted with some of the major figures in silver mining in the Álamos area. For the section on notable people, we were fortunate that Juan Carlos Jovin Valderrama, a professional historian at Álamos, supplied us with a list of figures to include. Fortunately for me, sitting in Norway during the pandemic, I was able to find almost all of these people on the internet. Álamos produced a wide range of talent and skill, which is interesting to see. Then Errol supplied illustrations for the text. Iveta Marianne Arnold, who competently translated the first edition into Spanish for our bilingual book, was available to translate the new sections. Here, though, is a chance to express gratitude to those who contributed in major ways to the writing and production of the historic guide. Leila Gillette, Ellen Prices, and my mother led the way by producing 4 editions of her book, The Stately Homes of Álamos, a Map History Guide. She published her first edition in 1990. As Leila explained the matter, when she moved to Álamos in the late 1980s, she wondered how the town, seemingly to her in the middle of nowhere, came to be. She began researching the matter and after a while decided to write up her findings. Leila also did the Spanish version of the stately homes, which made the history of Álamos easily accessible to local residents who wanted to learn more about their town. Later, she wanted a new historical guide to be written, which would expand on the stately homes. But she was getting on in years and did not have the energy to put a new version together. My sister and I promised Leila that we would see such a new version come to be, and she told us we could use what we wanted from the stately homes. Also generous were Donna McGee and D.K. Hammer, who wrote a more practical guide, the Álamos Guide, that also ran to 4 editions. Their first edition appeared in 2001. The History Association Guide, the second edition I'm talking about, follows mostly the model of the stately homes and highlighting the history and architecture of the town. But BK and Donna gave us their diskettes and told us to use what we wanted in producing our guide, which we did. Their last edition was published in 2009. The Association's Guide to Historic Álamos has been a collaborative effort all along. Linda Adams, Diane Carpenter, Stephanie Meyer, my sister Ellen Price and I wrote different drafts of the sections. Errol, Stephanie, and Ellen contributed photographs. Errol has been taking photographs of Álamos for a long time, so that was a special bonus. We benefited from having the services of Central Gráfico, the printer in Navajoa, generosity of Tony Estrada and Joan Powell in reading and commenting on our text. The books will be sold in Álamos at various restaurants, the museums, and at Kathy's Corner Bookstore. Those living outside of Álamos who would like a copy can write to Ellen Price or to me. Our email addresses are in the Álamos directory called the Gringo Book sometimes. We will communicate with you about payment and delivery. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. The next part of the agenda is going to be very brief because I've already talked about the pictures in City Hall. I know you visitors that are here, you won't have an opportunity to see them, but if you march over to City Hall and go up to the 2nd floor, you might be able to get into the room. But anyway, that project we will be talking more about. In fact, next week we will be meeting in City Hall the mayor and the vice mayor and other officials of the city will thank the History Association for its contribution.
Errol, in case they're not familiar with the Palacio, that room, if they go up the stairs, and they face this direction, east, it's on the room on the left.
Right. Yeah, if you go up the stairs, and that is the north stairs, the first room on your left is the new Galeria de Presidentes. So please, if you have an opportunity, but we'll all be meeting there next week, and it will also be by Zoom. I want to introduce now Barbara Kiernan, and Barbara will be talking about 2 or 3 things related to our History Association. And so I'll let Barbara take it from here.
you, Errol, and hi, everybody. Good to see you all. I was just in Álamos 2 weeks ago when it was really warm and the mosquitoes were still biting. I was still sleeping in my mosquito netted bed. I'm now in Tucson and it's 60 degrees in the daytime, and I'm wishing there was a little bit more warmth. But it's so good to be there, and good, Errol, now I can see all of you, because on the Zoom for a while, I was just seeing your belt, which was okay, but it's just that this was easier. Okay, I'm gonna ask whoever is doing that to please share your screen so I can show you a picture or so of what I'm doing. Is that okay? Would you be able to do that for me? I think I'm on. This is not a very creative face page, but I needed something really quick. So I'm just going to tell you about a couple of projects and things that we're doing today for the records. First of all, you know it's coming up, and I'm sorry not to be there, El Día de los Muertos. And Linda Adams is just so key to making this a wonderful event in Álamos. Right here, you see her last year, and I was there to help her, which was really fun to get all the flowers and all of the altar made to remember North Americans, foreigners, if you will, who had lived in Álamos for a long time and passed. So here you see Linda, and next to her is actually one of her wonderful Catrinas, which she makes, and you must go by her table, her altar, if you possibly can. This particular year, we are honoring at the Álamos Association, our History Association, Lynn Wilson. I did not know Lynn, but here is a picture of him in a place, I believe, Errol, it's called La Huerta, which might be his home. And when I learned about Lynn, I was really learning about him from afar. He was born in 1947 and he died last year, and he is actually buried in the Panteón. He was born, however, in Florida, and like so many of us have gravitated to the town of Álamos. When he came to Álamos, he stayed for 25 years. He lived with a woman that was native from here, and he adopted 2 of her children and stayed with them their whole life. There are many things that I heard about Jim, things like he loved dogs, like he loved even cats, that he was a Vietnam veteran. And one thing that absolutely everybody shared with me was the fact that he played poker in an ongoing poker game. And I said, gee, if you're still interested in playing poker, can you join that game? And apparently you can. So I hear, and this is hearsay, that it happens on Tuesday and what is it? Friday or Thursday? Linda is making, I'm sorry she's not here herself. She put so much effort into this, gathering both photographs and ofrendas, things that Jim probably liked to eat or drink or play or do. I hope there's a pack of poker cards there on the table to remember him. So Jim, we miss you, and we hope we can remember you well this year. The Panteón is actually a project that is an ongoing piece of what the Álamos History Association is trying to do. On the one hand, there is this Adopt a Grave program that Linda Adams is running. And this is basically where people who may not have family members in the Panteón, in the cemetery, can actually kind of adopt one of the graves, and each year before the Day of the Dead, which is coming up, can clean it and put flowers on it, candles, whatever. I did this last year for a wonderful man that I did not know, but it was kind of, it was a meaningful thing for me to do, and a beautiful way to remember people who have been with us in the past. So if you are interested in adopting a grave, whether you can actually go physically or you want to simply contribute some money from afar, Linda can arrange to have the grave taken care of. She's doing this herself. It's not actually part of an official Álamos History Association. I'm going to call it AHA right now. From now on, it's too long. But you can contact Linda in Kathy's Corner. And the second kind of thing that we did, which actually did have to do with the AHA, was that we began consolidating the Pantheon papers of people who are buried there. And I'm involved in this, and so is Joan Powell. And I'll talk a little bit about this in a minute, because one of the other projects that we did is we last year had, for the very first time, we began an internship project. After all, learning about history, preserving it, passing it on is something that we hope young people at all levels will do. And where better to begin than at the university. So one of our first interns last year was Daniela, we call her Dani, Balvanera Fierro Diaz, okay? And the project was actually going into the Pantheon and mapping it. Now here you see Daniela standing in the middle of a kind of impromptu musical group that just happened to be at that cemetery when we were all there. And they gathered around and sang her a song, and she's holding a piece of paper that was kind of going to be one of the ways she mapped the Pantheon, not the whole thing, but just the graves of the foreigners who are there. Well, as it turned out, she really did map it using something much more in line with her professional training. She is actually a student at ITESCA in the area of civil engineering. But she was fascinated with the history of Álamos. She didn't know a lot about it, actually. And one of the reasons she wanted to be an intern was to learn more about it. But she did the mapping on a program called AutoCAD. This is kind of one of those things that engineers and architects use to design things. So the project she did was mapping the Pantheon, which she successfully completed. Linda Adams was her on-the-ground mentor, and I was kind of her Zoom partner, and we worked together to get the project done. Now, what Danny did was create this map of all of the different foreign graves in the Pantheon, and then we divided that map up into quadrants, A1, B2, C3, that type of thing, so that we could focus in exactly on where a particular person was. And then we created a notebook that contains A through Z, every single person who's there. And each person has, in the alphabetical order, a sleeve that contains the demographic information we have about that person, any papers we have, for example, death certificates and whatnot, any newspaper articles. And that is literally a physical archive of information that is going to be in the library at Kathy's Corner. So that is what, and Joan Powell has done amazing work in the past that I was actually unaware of gathering together so much of this material. She's even gotten all of the GPS coordinates. And in fact, for the few that we were wondering about, David Warness, thank you, David, wandered around the Pantheon and literally went and stood over every grave and got a new GPS coordinate for us. So that was good. The second intern that we had last year was Luis Daniel Nevoy Garcia. So we actually had a Danny and a Danielle for our interns. That was an interesting thing. And what Danielle did is work with his mentor, Errol Zimmerman, on preparing the photos of the presidents. And I tell you what, I have been last 2 weeks ago to that beautiful gallery. You are going to be so impressed when you see it. And Danielle, thank you for all the good work you did in helping Errol to frame those products. I know that Errol did the actual photographic work, but he needed a lot of help to get all those frames and glasses and marks ready. So thank you. And I want to also thank Lorna Acosta, because last year our interns came from a recommended list that Lorna supplied to us for students who were eligible for the Amigos de Educación scholarships. And for those people that were available, we literally interviewed 4 of them and we selected 2. Danny and Danielle, and they did a fabulous job. And we learned a lot during that project. And so this particular year, we have expanded it. Great thanks to Trini, who is a director at ITESCA, and he is saying, why don't we pull together this internship project and coordinate it with what Itesca does and make sure that we select students who then not only get the experience and get the stipend that we provided, but they also get university credit. And so we did just that with trainees. Here we go. I'm sorry, don't move your cursor around on this or it goes away. Anyway, the 2 projects that we selected are actually with students that Trini has identified, and they are going to be involved next year. So David Warnes is going to be a mentor, and his student is they're going to put together a presentation, archival materials, both Spanish and English language literature from the life and times of Benito Juárez. And in February, you're going to have an opportunity to see the 2 of them co-present on this. And then Trini himself is going to be a mentor this year, and he's going to try something that's kind of interesting. He's going to select 1 student to be the official intern. And they are then going to work with an entire class of students who are going to go out and gather oral history from the elders in their families. This is really an interesting project. If this has fruit, if we can do this logistically, it's very possible that we can later on help Donna and BK develop their book along with Patricia Hamilton that updates the information from Norbert. Anyway, this is what's going forward. You're going to hear a lot about this in the future. And now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and come back here. And I just want to say thank you for listening. I think the internship project is really exciting. I'm so sorry I can't share the Day of the Dead with you. And thank you, Joan and Lorna and David and Errol and everybody for helping to make this happen. So we're on into year 2. We'll decide what happens in year 3, how to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Thank you. I want to introduce Trini to pick up and follow Barbara. We all know Trini. Trini's on our board of directors, as we have other board members here. Ellen Price is here. David Warnes is here. Boom, boom, there could be other people, I don't know. Trini, where should he stand?
Thank you, everyone. So good to be here. I think Barbara said pretty much the good news about those 2 students from Itesca. One is gonna be a teammate with David. And now David has all the wisdom from 5 books so far, or 6, I believe. 8 books that he read already on Benito Juárez. And Fernando is going to help technologically to put that presentation together and some other things that come along on the way. That's one thing that we have from one of our students to participate from now until David gets that presentation done. The other one is that we have another student that is going to be in charge of delegating. He's going to be in charge of delegating and putting together all the videos recorded by each of our students. So we have 100 students that they are going to be out there and film their grandparents or their great-grandpas, if they are still alive, and gather the information on the way their lives were, what they played, what medicine they used, what was the weather like before, if it rained more, if it didn't rain less. We want to know the way their lives were in the past. And this student is going to be in charge of gathering all the information and delivering all to the Álamos History Association. That's going to be her project. And she is going to be a girl. We want to have a boy and a girl this year as well. I really congratulate Daniela Fierro and Daniel Neyoy. I know they both are terrific students, as well as the students that are going to be participating this season too. Also, what I like to mention is the importance of the Moringa tree, taking time at this time. Tomorrow, Itesca has been invited to participate in the cleanups that the administration has been doing lately in order to contrarrest the dengue, the mosquitoes, So we stop the houses for them in this way. But we as the university like to enhance this opportunity to participate with two actions. One action is to plant mesquite trees as well as moringa trees and include you all or whoever can to come and be included with the community in this way. This is a very important way to show up and be part. The participation is from 6 a.m. till 8 a.m., which is cool to go and do a little bit, go and plant a tree, bring your cleaning tool, your rake, your shovel, your long sleeve shirt, and in this way we can be more part of our community that we really love and like so much. So this is what I like to say in my message, and be prepared for a presentation that I have on masks.
Yes.
This year. I have a huge collection of masks as well. And that's gonna be a wonderful. The cleanup is gonna be in Parque Colosio. It's located in La Capilla on Calle Hidalgo, Street Hidalgo, next to the mechanic shop that is in La Capilla. There is that new park over there. That's the time to show up over there. Yes?
Would you please explain why you are planting those 2 trees? And some people might not know what I'm over
The mesquite is a very important tree. It doesn't really take as much water, and it provides the vegeta, which is a source of food. The moringa is a very, very important nutritional tree to have. My belief is that the pandemic and the dengue is just a little taste of what humans can go through in the future. So by having these sources of food is very important. And this is why we want to leave this legacy to our beautiful Álamos.
Okay, thank you. Do you have more to say?
Well, the only thing that I like to say, I think Catherine Callahan is going to tell lawyer Ruth Acuña about to talk about the
Yeah,
release,
just
right?
a moment. Let's give a hand.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Our next presentation will be about our treasury. And I've been down here, so anyway, this year we've made some great progress in our treasury, and we're going to call on our treasurer, Joan Powell, to give a presentation.
Hello. I just want to let everybody know that the Álamos History Association is now an official Arizona nonprofit corporation. And we have a tax ID number, and we were able to get 501c3 status with the IRS. So donations to the various projects or general donation to AHA can be tax deductible on your US taxes. Memberships, of course, aren't, but any donations as we work on various projects that are ongoing or may come up in the future can be tax deductible. And Barbara and I, after several trips to the bank, were able to set up a bank account in the United States. It was an interesting process, but it is accomplished now. That's about it. Membership checks, if you're sending them to me, can be made out to Álamos History Association now, since that's how we have the bank account set up. That's all I really have to say. That's the news.
I will say that, Umberto, do you want to change the screen here? I will say that you're all free now to get tax refunds for any donation to our organization. Okay. Well, at this time, en este momento deseo presentar a la licenciada Ruth Concepción Acuña Rascón. Ruth era la presidenta de Álamos 2006 a 2009 y durante su mandato hay el huracán Norbert causó mucha destrucción y mucho sufrimiento de la gente de Álamos. Y Ruth es el presidente en aquel entonces. Con el arduo trabajo del palacio, se restauró la belleza de Álamos. So, gracias, Ruth. Hoy, Ruth discutirá la revista Raíces, que tiene información de la gente y la vida cultural de Álamos. Y Trini will interpret. Okay. Okay. Yeah,
Okay. Well, let me introduce to you to Licenciado José Luis Germán Espinosa. He is the director of this magazine, Raíces.
buenos días.
And also in charge of the technical coordination, we already know Licenciada Ruth Concepción Acuña Rascón.
Buenos días. Nos da mucho gusto estar aquí con ustedes que conforman la Asociación de Historiadores de este municipio.
They are very happy to be here with you all as a part of the History Association.
Agradecerles el primer contacto que tuvimos con Catherine y con la señora Bárbara y también la comunicación vía correo electrónico con el señor Al. Muchas gracias.
They are very thankful with the first approach that they have with Catherine Cunningham, communication via email with Harold Zimmerman and Barbara.
Y agradecerle también a Jamie que nos facilita ahorita aquí estas preciosas instalaciones del Hotel Hacienda de los Santos para estar con ustedes. Muchas gracias.
And thank you to my sister Jamie to facilitate the facilities here at the Hacienda de los Santos.
Nosotros pues somos quienes integramos el equipo que hace posible la edición de esta revista Raíces, que es una revista que promueve la historia y la cultura regional.
They are the ones who integrate the team that made possible this magazine that talks about culture and traditions about the region.
Esta revista es una revista que nace de la inquietud de dar a conocer la historia contada por la gente que ha vivido estas experiencias.
The magazine was born because the desires, but it's done and it's written by words in the way that people have lived history.
Es una revista que aborda diferentes contenidos sobre la vida cultural, económica, social, política de esta región del Maule con un enfoque histórico.
Okay, this magazine talks about the cultural life, economics, social, politics of this region and the Mayan region with a historical approach.
Y con esto me gustaría a mí darle la palabra al licenciado José Luis Germán, que es el director, para que él nos explique por qué y cuál es el objetivo de estar con ustedes promoviendo esta red.
Now we have licenciado José Luis Germán, that he's going to talk a little bit more about the magazine.
Pues, buenos días, me da mucho gusto estar esta mañana con todos ustedes para comentarles de manera muy sintetizada cuál es el trabajo que estamos haciendo a través de este proyecto editorial que llamamos Raíces.
Okay, he's very happy to be here this morning with you all to talk about this synthetic work that they have been doing through this magazine called Raíces.
El propósito principal es que los hombres, las mujeres de los pueblos de esta región del Mayo cuenten sus historias, sus formas de vida, y nosotros las damos a conocer, las difundimos a través de la revista.
The main aim of the magazine is for women and men to share their histories and for them to let them know through the magazine.
Para hacer este trabajo, asistimos a las comunidades, hacemos la investigación de campo, hacemos las entrevistas, recogemos toda la información y nos damos el siguiente paso, que es la investigación documental, para fortalecer la entrevista que hicimos en las comunidades.
In order to put it together, they go to villages and then they investigate and then they document the information and put it together in the magazine.
Hemos tenido muy buenos resultados porque las personas de las comunidades las estamos haciendo visibles. Donde están los artistas del pueblo, los que tocan un instrumento musical, los que danzan, los que hacen esculturas, los que pintan, los que hacen cualquier tipo de artesanía, nosotros se los estamos haciendo visibles y le estamos diciendo a la sociedad, mira, aquí también hay mucha fuerza intelectual, hay mucha capacidad y hemos encontrado algo muy importante. Todos los artistas o todo lo que se hace en las comunidades no tienen costo para ellos, porque toman de la naturaleza para hacer sus artesanías y toman del conocimiento ancestral de sus casas para hacer el trabajo completo.
The magazine has been very well accepted in a way that they have been interviewing artistic people, artisans, people who are dedicated to art, and musicians as well. And it's very important, he said, because it doesn't have any cost for them, because whatever they are using, it comes from natural resources. And it's very important in this way, he says, and they can put together the information in this way.
En esencia es el trabajo que hacemos, hacer visibles a las mujeres y a los hombres que viven en las comunidades, que enfrentan todos los días problemas sociales, económicos, pero que resuelven por ellos mismos sus necesidades y sobre todo las necesidades intelectuales de mostrar lo que ellos tienen. Entonces, nosotros lo que queremos finalmente es que se conozca eso y queremos que nos lean y queremos que se difunda a través de las redes, a través de la impresión, este trabajo que estamos haciendo. Por eso concluyo dándoles las gracias, agradeciendo esta oportunidad que nos dan de hacerles de su conocimiento lo que estamos haciendo y finalmente decirles apóyennos también para que esto se difunda. Gracias.
He concludes his speech in a way of being grateful and thankful to you all and asking for the support too from you all. And the most important thing is that they look to make seen, beautiful, the lives of women and men in the villages and make it notable in this way. And they were attested to, they have Spanish edition, but our university is going to help. At least we're looking forward with the next edition to be in Spanish and English. So Itesca is going to be in charge of having it in English for the next event. Dice que sí, es una revista mensual. It's a monthly magazine and you can subscribe as well, is my understanding. Para suscribirse.
Sí, esta revista iniciamos la edición en este año, en el mes de enero. Ahorita llevamos 10 números que han estado saliendo mensualmente.
They started in January. So far, they have 10. And it's a monthly magazine.
Y
si quiere suscribirse, ¿cómo lo hace?
si quiere suscribirse, nosotros tenemos aquí en cada revista vienen los datos correo, número de teléfono y también les voy a dejar el número de contacto personal porque la revista tiene un costo simbólico. Nosotros la investigación la aportamos como revista Raíces, el equipo que la hacemos.
It's just a symbolic cost, but if you want to subscribe, the facts come in each magazine as well. But she's going to leave her personal cell phone as well. And I know they have so much passion in order to do this. I told them the last time that they were in the school that they do inspire about doing this. It's a wonderful magazine, and I'm so happy about having a magazine like this.
El costo es de 50 pesos por ejemplar y hay suscripciones de 500 pesos al año o 250 pesos semestral.
And it says that they have a Facebook page.
Yeah. Yeah, it's only 50 pesos per magazine or 500 pesos per year.
And I think that those 500 pesos don't go with putting in the publication. I think they do themselves. They give out scholarships, they give out, it goes to the communities they're working. And these guys, the team is like 5 people. These two go out and do all the interviewing, all the recording, and then all the writing, the editing. It'll be edited back in the machine. I suspect the 2 women in the back, they do all the layout. Pretty incredible.
How do they fund it?
¿Cómo para la publicación? ¿Cómo está hecho?
Es solamente la impresión es lo que se costea con la suscripción. Solamente el costo del papel y la impresión. La investigación la aportamos el equipo que trabajamos en ella.
Yeah, the research is for free. They do it for free. What you pay with your subscription, he pays for printing and putting it together.
Pero queremos aumentar el número de suscripciones porque es mucho también la solicitud que tenemos de impresiones, entonces queremos hacerla llegar físicamente a ustedes cuando estén aquí y también por correo cuando ustedes estén radicando en otra parte, para que se promueva.
And then I think we can both the History Association and this history magazine can learn a lot from each other. The use of Tesla students. It'll be really interesting.
How can we subscribe?
Muy bien.
How can we subscribe?
She said sending an email
Or just by the email?
or having a phone call, but she's going to leave the personal phone number too.
Y por último, nada más les quiero decir que aparte de las vivencias de las personas que nos platican su historia en las comunidades, también queremos que ustedes que vienen y nos hacen el honor de vivir aquí en Álamos y de visitarnos, de estar con nosotros, conozcan la historia también, como en esta revista del mes de septiembre, por ejemplo, que citamos a los héroes que localmente hacen la historia aquí en Álamos desde muchos años o siglos atrás.
I missed the part of it, it's a strategic part of it.
Yeah, they really want to make you part of the magazine for you to know too about the local heroes that have been part of the local Álamos history as well. ¿Cómo la reciben ya que se suscriben?
Si están aquí en Álamos, la podemos entregar personalmente en el domicilio de ustedes.
Your
O
address.
también en la asociación hay una propuesta de Bárbara y Katy de entregarla en la oficina.
If they can pick up your subscription there, or up till now, they've been coming with the 11% before. Maybe, anyhow, we'll figure it out. Maybe you'll tell how you want.
Yeah.
Hi, I really would like to have a copy of each of the issues for the Alamos History Library. La biblioteca. So-
For the history club.
So that
Yeah,
would be
the
a
history-
history corner then, eh?
I think people will need to work something out.
We don't have all of the answers here, but the History Association is a subscriber. And I hope that some of you, move over a little bit, can subscribe as well. Anyway, 500 pesos a year. And we'll work out, in my email, I'll get all of the details. I just want to thank you to thank you so much for your help and all the work you're doing.
Quisiera mostrarles muy rápido las 10 portadas que han salido al día de hoy. Si las tenemos.
She's going to show the 10 front pages that they have had until now.